Hi, I'm Alan Sagano. I'm the president of ADS Consulting Group, and thanks a lot for listening to this tip of the day on how to construct a disaster recovery infrastructure. Back in the day, before these types of these wide area network lines existed, you would have to use a routed network. So the problem with the routed network is if you have your production network, over here, and you have to fail over to another one. It usually involved bringing up those VMs in a different subnet, which means you had to flip the IPs, and if you know you've done this, it's pretty much a train wreck. It adds maybe an hour or two to your DR recovery time, your recovery time objective, because you have to flip the IPs and it breaks everything catastrophically, especially domain controllers, and some servers, depending on what they're running, don't like their IP addresses changed, and then you have to refresh DNS. And then some workstations didn't get the memo and they can't find works that, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It adds maybe an hour or two for the failover time. So the way we've been doing it since more providers have provided this is we actually use a layer 2 connection, or essentially a switch connection. Layer 2 refers to the OSI stack, so it sits on layer 2. The advantage of that is that most of these layer 2 connections now have what's called encapsulated Ethernet. So the advantage of that is that you can tag a VLAN on your production side and then fail it over to your DR side, and it will respect the VLAN tags. Essentially what it does is it takes the packet, packages it up, ships it across, then when it gets unbundled, the VLAN tags remain intact. So the really cool thing about this is that what you can do instead of using a routed network, you use the switched network. So you can use that one logical connection. Let's say it's a 100 meg connection or a 1 gig connection or whatever it is. Actually, even 1 gig today is pretty reasonable. 12, 13, 14, 1500 bucks now. It's pretty scary in terms of how cheap it is. Relatively cheap it is compared to what it used to be. So what you do is you essentially tag up your server subnet, your workstation subnets, your management network. If you're running SimpliVity, maybe a federation network, some other stuff, and you essentially use that 1 gig or 100 meg line to carry all that traffic, but you keep it segregated because it's tagged with VLANs on the other side. The analogy here is, think if you had your production site here and your DR site here, and you have a really long cable stretching it that's basically extending all of those subnets for you. The advantage of that is that when you fail over to the DR site and you bring up those servers, you don't have to flip the IPs, right? Because the subnet is extended between the two sites, or it spans both sites. You maybe have to change a default gateway, possibly, or if this site blows up, if your production site blows up, you can just duplicate whatever the default gateway is in your failover site. Bottom line here is that a layer 2 connection, if you are really serious about doing anything significant with DR, simplifies the failover process by about 5 million %. So that's our tip of the day. We've tried it doing routed, we've tried forklifting subnets. The best so far that we've found in terms of ease of failover has been the spanning subnet with a layer 2 connection. That's our tip of the day. If you want more information about this, you can send an email to info@adscon.com. Thanks a lot for listening to this tip. If you like this content, we'll keep making it. Please hit that subscribe button, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.